You ever have one of those neighbors who's just absolutely convinced you're up to something shady, like they've watched one too many crime dramas, and now you're the villain in their own personal episode? Yeah, that happened. My story starts the day my HOA president, Linda Shaw, broke into my house, cracked open my government safe, and started screaming about calling the FBI because I was apparently running some elaborate scam right out of my suburban ranch. You think I'm exaggerating, but I swear this woman's idea of community watch made the CIA look lazy. I'm Mike Torres, and honestly, all I ever wanted was some peace, quiet, and maybe a few good mornings spent tracking migratory birds for the U.S. Wildlife Service. That's my job, following the migration routes along the Eastern Flyway, trying to keep track of millions of birds as they travel back and forth across the country. It's not exactly glamorous, but I love it, especially since I got out of D.C. and away from all the endless meetings and bureaucratic headaches. I was pumped when they let me move to this quiet neighborhood, thinking, hey, maybe I finally get to do some real science in the field and enjoy a normal life. No more cubicles, no more endless reports, just dawn patrols with binoculars, then afternoons at my desk uploading data and chasing down the occasional rogue woodpecker. Everything was perfect for maybe, 3 weeks. Then the agency shipped me this massive government safe, heavy gray, built like a bank vault, covered in warnings that basically screamed, touch this and go to federal prison. Official labels everywhere, delivery guys in government polos, broad daylight, totally above board. I figured nobody would care. But in suburbia, apparently, you can't sneeze without someone taking notes. Turns out my friendly neighbors were watching like hawks, and nobody was more invested than Linda Shaw, HOA president. And, well, let's just say she's got a long history of making mountains out of molehills. Linda, I later found out, had been HOA president for 8 years, which might as well be a lifetime sentence around here. Her kids moved away, she was divorced, and she poured all her energy into the neighborhood. She liked to call it community protection. Most folks just called it Linda being Linda. She had this obsession with catching bad guys, spent years as a department store manager where she apparently accused half her staff of stealing all totally wrong. The company finally got tired of her playing detective, fired her, and I guess the HOA was her way of staying relevant. Imagine living next door to someone who patrols the streets with a phone camera, keeping a literal dossier on everyone's trash days and Amazon deliveries. Yeah. It's like living next to the world's nosiest mall cop. So of course, when she saw that government safe being rolled into my office, she went straight into full Homeland Security mode. I barely knew her at that point. She'd smiled at me once or twice, nothing more, but that night she sent me a polite email from the HOA asking about my unusual equipment delivery. I gave her the official line, government work, can't discuss details, confidentiality. That should have been the end, right? Not for Linda. For her, a vague answer was basically the same as an outright confession. Over the next week, I caught her across the street with a camera like telephoto lens and everything taking photos of my house at every angle. At first, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the HOA needed documentation for insurance or something. But when I started seeing her at her upstairs window every time I left for work at 5:30 a.m., notebook in hand, it got weird fast. She started posting on internet forums, asking hypothetical questions about suspicious neighbors, government impersonators, all of that. It was honestly impressive how much time she spent researching federal fraud cases online. Then came the big twist. Linda calls a board meeting. In her living room, presents a full PowerPoint about my activities, even compares me to stories she found online about fake government agents in the suburbs. Half the board thinks she's nuts, the other half is just paranoid enough to go along. By the end, she's got enough support to launch an official HOA inquiry and gets all worked up like she's about to save the world. And me, I'm just trying to track birds, man. The next day, Linda shows up at my door, clipboard, HOA badge, a stack of forms saying she needs to inspect my safe for insurance purposes. I'm standing there in my socks, holding a mug of coffee, trying to explain again that I legally cannot show her government property or talk details. She doesn't hear a word, just keeps pushing, saying, if I'm really legit, I should have no problem proving it. Her voice keeps rising. Neighbors start peeking out their windows, and the next thing I know, she's threatening to call the cops and have me arrested for impersonating a federal employee. I told her, "Go ahead, call the police. I've got nothing to hide." That night, I hear her on the phone standing in her front yard, telling 911 she's got a federal scammer living next door. Enter Officer Martinez, the local cop who's apparently been dealing with Linda's drama for years. He shows up, does the whole song and dance, checks my ID calls. Headquarters confirms everything. You can see Linda start to panic as Martinez methodically debunks every one of her accusations. She starts yelling about how everything's fake, how Martinez is falling for a scam, demanding that the FBI get involved. Martinez, bless his patience, finally warns her, "Keep this up and you'll be the one in legal trouble for harassment." Does she stop? Not a chance. Instead, she doubles down. The very next night, while I'm gone for a dawn migration survey, Linda breaks into my house, crawls through an unlocked window, tools in hand, and spends hours trashing my office and prying open that government safe, ignoring all the warning labels, all the federal "do not tamper" signs. And for what? All she finds is research notes, bird tracking data, official correspondence, and a couple of GPS trackers. She doesn't even realize that my security cameras are catching everything in glorious HD. I get home at 8 the next morning, walk in, and my office looks like a tornado hit it. Research papers everywhere, cabinets wide open, safe mangled beyond repair. My heart nearly stops thinking I've lost years of irreplaceable migration data. But I remember, thankfully, everything's backed up on secure servers. Once the panic fades, the anger kicks in. This wasn't just a burglary. This was a direct attack on my work, my reputation, and federal property. I do exactly what you're supposed to do in that situation. Call my supervisor, report a breach, and let the feds handle it. And boy, do they handle it. By that afternoon, there's a team at my house, FBI, Wildlife Service investigators, local police. Martinez is there too, looking more and more like he wants to throttle Linda himself. The agents watch the security footage, see Linda's face crystal clear as she smashes the safe and ransacks the place, and immediately start prepping arrest warrants. Next morning, 600 a.m. sharp, Linda gets her very own FBI wake-up call. Sirens, agents, news crews, the whole neighborhood watching as she gets led out in handcuffs. She tries to deny everything, then says she was investigating on behalf of the community. Doesn't matter. Her prints are everywhere. Her tools are in her garage with the safe's paint still on them, and the evidence is undeniable. The fallout is brutal. The HOA dumps her as president on the spot, elects someone new, and everyone starts apologizing for not speaking up sooner. The feds upgrade my security, replace my safe, and even boost my research budget to make up for lost time. The neighborhood learns a hard lesson about privacy paranoia and what can happen when you let one person's obsession take over. Linda. Last I heard, she's staying with family in another state waiting for her federal trial, and nobody around here misses her community patrols. So if you've ever wondered what happens when someone decides to take on the federal government with nothing but wild conspiracy theories and a crowbar, well, sometimes karma shows up in a black SUV at sunrise. Do you think justice was served? Have you ever had a neighbor go this far off the rails? Let me know in the comments and smash that like button if you want more stories about wild HOA drama and instant karma.